This is not a conventional lecture on geopolitics. It is an inquiry into something far more enduring and far more dangerous. Today, we are not merely examining a country like Iran. We are confronting a deeper structure. How wars persist, how regimes endure, and why. Collapse is rarely determined by force alone, but by psychology, perception, and systemic constraints. Let us begin with a paradox. Why do powerful nations rarely collapse overnight? And why do weaker states often endure far longer than expected? The answer is neither military nor economic. It is psychological. Human beings, and by extension, societies, do not move toward the best possible outcome. They move away from the most terrifying one. This single principle explains more about global conflict than any military doctrine ever could. Now consider the scenario of internal fragmentation, civil war, division, collapse. Why is it so dangerous? Because it destroys control. It invites non-state actors, extremism, and terrorism. It spills beyond borders, escalating into regional instability. And perhaps most critically, it shocks global systems, energy markets, alliances, supply chains. In such a scenario, a superpower like the United States faces a strategic trap. It cannot fully intervene, yet it cannot fully withdraw. This is the essence of strategic paralysis. And here we encounter a crucial paradox in American policy thinking. On one hand, a military-controlled regime may be realistic. On the other, total fragmentation is catastrophic. Between them lies a third option, limited. Reform, the most desirable, yet often the least probable. And yet it is this improbable outcome that policy gravitates toward. Why? First, political legitimacy. A nation must be able to say, we supported reform. We stood for democratic change. Even in failure, the narrative survives. Second, domestic politics. No administration can openly admit. It prefers authoritarian stability over democratic aspiration. Public justification requires moral framing. Third, and perhaps most subtly, cognitive bias. Decision makers often believe, this time, it might be different. This is what we call a hope-based strategy. It is not pure realism. It is realism tempered, perhaps distorted, by aspiration. Even when structural conditions make success unlikely, policy is often built around the most desirable scenario, not the most probable one. Now shift your attention inward to the psychology of populations. Why do people resist radical change, even under hardship? Because uncertainty is more frightening than suffering. The present may be painful, but the future, if the system collapses, is unknowable, and the unknown is intolerable. This is why imperfect order is almost always preferred to chaotic transformation. At this point, an ancient insight becomes strikingly relevant. The Tibetan text known as the Bardo Thodol describes an intermediate state between death and rebirth, a condition of profound disorientation, fear, and loss of identity. Apply this metaphor to states and political systems. An existing regime represents life. A new system represents rebirth. But between them lies the most dangerous phase: confusion, fear, disintegration of meaning. This is the true nature of regime collapse. It is not resolution. It is the beginning of radical uncertainty. Power vacuums do not produce stability. They produce competition, fragmentation, and prolonged disorder. And so people and nations find themselves trapped in a contradiction. They desire change, but they fear its consequences. Now, let us return to the broader conflict. Why do some geopolitical struggles never seem to end? Because they are structurally designed not to. Consider the asymmetry. The United States can win militarily, but at an unacceptable cost. Iran cannot win outright, but cannot afford to lose. This creates a condition where no actor can decisively conclude the conflict. And from that condition emerges permanence. This is reinforced by mutual deterrence. Iran holds asymmetric leverage, regional influence, strategic choke points. The United States holds overwhelming military superiority. Each can harm the other. Neither can fully control the consequences. The result is a frozen tension action constrained, hostility sustained. But the structure runs deeper still. Internal politics make retreat nearly impossible. For Iran, compromise risks ideological collapse. Resistance reinforces legitimacy. To step back is to negate its own identity. For the United States, withdrawal signals weakness. Escalation increases political and economic costs. There is no risk-free option. Over time, something even more powerful happens. Conflict ceases to be an event. It becomes identity. Iran becomes the resisting state. The United States becomes the guardian of order. And identity is far more durable than strategy. Because when conflict disappears, identity itself begins to erode. This is why resolution becomes psychologically threatening. Add to this the dimension of ideology and belief. When political structures are fused with religious narratives, historical missions, and martyrdom frameworks, compromise is no longer a policy option. It becomes a violation. And finally, consider the external environment. This is not a bilateral conflict. It is embedded within a network. Regional powers, global energy systems, international alliances. Each factor reinforces the others. Conflict is not merely sustained. It is reproduced. At this point, we return to a final insight from the Bardo Thodol. Attachment creates repetition. Attachment to power. Attachment to belief. Attachment to identity. These forces do not resolve conflict. They perpetuate it. And so we arrive at the core conclusion. This is not a question of who is stronger. It is a question of who cannot step back. Military force does not decide the outcome. Psychology and structure do. Wars persist not because they are unwinnable, but because they are unresolvable within the existing framework of meaning. We often prefer simple narratives. The strong prevail, the weak concede. But reality is far more complex. Human decisions are not governed by power alone. They are governed by meaning, fear, and identity. And in that moment, war ceases to be a clash of forces. It becomes a clash of interpretations. So remember this: systems do not collapse easily. And when they do, the aftermath is often more dangerous than the system itself. Collapse is not liberation. It is the opening of uncertainty. And between what was and what will be, there is always a space of chaos. If this series has offered you value, consider subscribing, sharing, and joining the conversation. Because the moment we begin to understand these patterns, we gain the only leverage that truly matters. Not control over others, but clarity about ourselves. And that is where repetition begins to break.